A new movie is generating a lot of talk about one of the most controversial cases in Philadelphia history. Fallen Philly cop Daniel Faulkner and the man on death row for his murder, Mumia Abu-Jamal. Coming up next, we talk to Ty Gray Hill about his movie, Barrel of the Gun.
Combat zone near 12th and Locust Streets. A scuffle began, and from across the street, police say the murder suspect, Mumia.
Thomas?
Documentary due out next week on the 1981 murder of Philadelphia police officer Daniel Faulkner may be almost as controversial as the case itself. Local filmmaker Ty Gray Hill claims it's the true story behind the case. Fox 29's Dave Stratweiser live from the scene of Officer Faulkner's murder at 13th and Locust. Dave.
Thomas, Ty Gray Hill spent 4 years working on this film, and he interviewed all kinds of people, from Hollywood celebrities Ed Asner and Danny Glover to local officials like Governor Ed Rendell, who was the DA here in Philadelphia at one point. He says this 2-hour film will give all new insights on this case, a case that is a cause celeb worldwide. The reason you decided to do this movie?
I had seen some documentaries, and there were some books out about the case, and I felt that they weren't really telling the story the right way, or they weren't including certain information. So I wanted to look into the case and see what I could find, because after talking to some people, they were saying, well, if you saw that film or if you read that book, that's not really the true story.
All right, Ty Gray, we're right at the spot where Daniel Faulkner lost his life in 1981. You knew this was going to be controversial. You didn't shy away from it. What about the controversy on this movie?
Well, it's a issue that has a lot of passion on both sides. And I didn't want to get caught up in the controversy itself. I wanted to look and see where the truth was. And I knew at the end of the film, by the time it comes out, I'll have a position, and let the chips fall where they may, where the controversy is. I had no control over that.
Okay. You've mentioned that you have some new information, some new stuff on the case, that kind of thing. What's the audience going to see here?
Well, they're going to see one of the biggest controversies of the whole case is the fact that Mumia's brother never testified. Well, in the film, I talked to his attorney at the time for the first time. Nobody had ever talked to him. And he gives some insight on why his brother did not testify, and I think it's going to surprise some people what the real story is.
Okay, there's no doubt this movie is going to attract some protesters. I think some MOVE folks, Pam Africa has said she may end up at the premiere as well. What do you think about the protests, and how much of a protest you think this movie is going to get?
I don't know. You know, it's a free country. We're allowed to do that as long as we do it peacefully. They're welcome to protest. That's their right. I couldn't tell you how many protesters are going to be there. I've been told there's going to be a lot. Pam Africa has personally said she's going to protest the film wherever it's being shown. I think for the first time, this is a film that shows the truth. There's been 3 other films about this case that really, in my opinion, have not really told the truth about what actually happened that night. And I think the police and law enforcement in this city are happy that the truth is finally going to be told.
All right, this has always been an open wound for the city, for the police department. Will this put some of that to rest? Do you think this will help heal the wound, or do you think this is always going to be a controversial case?
I think it's always going to be a controversial case, because everybody's going to have their own take on what happened. What I hope this film will do was shed some enlightenment on what actually happened and show a different side that hasn't been shown before.
Certainly is a film that has a lot of people talking. You know, Dave, you brought it up. The premiere next week, it's going to attract protesters, opponents of the death penalty, and certainly police. How's the city preparing for that security-wise? And do you think this movie will do anything to end the controversy over the whole case?
Right now, you can expect a lot of police officers, the Civil Affairs Unit, other folks like that. As far as the controversy, I do not believe this film will end the controversy, because there are several sides to this story. But I deferred to my partner on Mob Talk, George Anastasia from the Philadelphia Inquirer here, who's covered news in this city for almost 30 years. Here's what George had to say about the impact of this movie.
I mean, I think it's just another inning in the ball game. This is never going to end. This is an ongoing story. But the fact that he's taken the time to do all of this, done the research, and the fact that he's an African American, I think tends to lend a little bit more credibility. The problem with the story is the further away you get from Philadelphia, the more you get caught up in the crusade and not the facts, and that's what's happened here. So you got 2 different versions of how things went down, and it's never going to be resolved. It's always going to be an argument.
Now, the movie premieres Tuesday night at the Merriam Theater. One person you will not see in this movie, Mumia Abu-Jamal himself. Thomas?
I'm curious, are you going next week, Dave?
I've been invited. We'll see if I get there if the news gets over on time. Yeah.
All right, Dave Stratweiser reporting tonight. Dave, thank you. We'll be right back.